Hi everyone, and thank you for tuning in. In this video, I'm going to highlight why there's one major risk that just increased for Airbnb stock investors. Now, if you've been following Airbnb for these last couple of years, it's been through a wild ride, right? First, the business was devastated at the pandemic's onset when travel nearly came to a halt. Revenue for Airbnb fell by 30%, and the following year was a year of major recovery in 2021 as Airbnb's revenue exploded by more than 70%, and 2022 has continued that momentum as folks are unleashing this pent-up demand for travel. Airbnb is benefiting from that trend, but it still has a long runway of growth ahead. Even though consumers are unleashing this pent-up demand for travel, we're still not anywhere near to the level of traveling we were doing before the outbreak. In 2019, worldwide travel spending totaled 1.5 trillion. In 2021, that was only back up to 950 billion. It crashed to 610 billion in 2020 and then recovered up to 950 billion in 2021, but still we're more than 500 billion dollars away from spending as much on travel as we were doing before the outbreak. And perhaps Airbnb is getting an outsized benefit from this return to travel because of the type of properties it offers. It does not own the listings on its platform. Rather, it encourages folks, everyday folks, to make their properties available on the Airbnb platform. For example, if you have a 3-bedroom apartment in the city of New York, you're encouraged to list one of your bedrooms on the Airbnb platform. Or if you have a vacation home in the Hamptons, maybe you want to list your home during the months that you're not using it, and in that way you get to generate some revenue and Airbnb gets to earn some fees while that listing is on the website. But therein lies one of the risks for Airbnb's long-term viability is that cities and regulators could thwart its ability to have short-term rentals within their city limits, right? If you're living in a house in a neighborhood in the Hamptons, you're not too happy about your neighbor's home becoming an Airbnb rental where every few days you have a new group of people coming in and maybe they're throwing parties and maybe they're being loud and maybe they're being disruptive, and so you're not happy about the fact that it's now turned into an Airbnb rental, and so you're going to complain to your mayor, your city official, your council member. And so there is a risk for Airbnb that it might not have that ability to continue operating as freely as it has been. So that one risk just recently elevated after the president of the Federal Reserve Bank in Philadelphia, Patrick Harker, wrote an essay on September 27 highlighting the soaring inflation in housing prices. Those of us in the US and probably other parts of the world are experiencing and seeing home prices absolutely skyrocket between from 2019 to now 2022, in the last, more so since the outbreak of the pandemic after all the stimulus entered into the economy. And so home prices are soaring, and so that's a big part of why the world is experiencing such high inflation, is because of the increase in home prices. And so the president, Patrick Harker, wrote an essay, and in that essay he highlights and he shows a nice little chart here on the rising home prices. And look at the explosion since 2020. Gosh, that's incredible. Almost straight upward in the price of homes since 2020. But moving on here, this is the part that had me concerned about Airbnb's stock price and Airbnb's viability and valuation, is this comment he makes here. he attributes that part of the reason why home prices are soaring is because short-term rentals have gobbled up a significant portion of the housing supply. So instead of these homes being listed on the market as a traditional rental or a traditional home for sale, they're listed on the Airbnb website as a short-term rental. So families cannot rent this as a place to live. Families cannot buy this home as a place to live, and so that's decreasing the supply of homes. And he highlights that this is particularly a problem at the shore in Ocean City, New Jersey, where Airbnb highlighted that it was its most booked American destination. And so it's becoming really popular for Americans to book these rentals in these popular destinations. And so folks that own homes, that own apartments in those locations, instead of leasing them out, renting them out, or putting them up for sale, are having them listed as a short-term rental on Airbnb. So that's creating the this central bank president is citing this as a reason why it's creating inflationary troubles in our economy. And so the next step could be, what the following step could be, is that city and government politicians can now cite this essay and say, look what the central bank is saying. Look what the president of the Philadelphia Bank is saying. He's saying that this is a problem that we need to get under control. He's saying that this is causing inflation to get out of control. And so they could use that as a justification to ban Airbnb rentals within their city limits. So popular cities like New York, New Jersey, Los Angeles, Chicago, Seattle, Miami, politicians in those cities could use this kind of research, this kind of essay, to justify increasing regulation, restricting Airbnb's ability to operate in those cities. So for that reason, I highlight this as a risk to Airbnb investors. This is something that has elevated its risk, this regulatory risk going forward. Okay, so I just wanted to come out here and give you all this warning, give you all this update on what's going on with Airbnb. Now, I wouldn't say this is a reason to panic and sell the stock. This is just something to be aware of and keep an eye out for. It certainly reduces my enthusiasm for Airbnb stock just a little bit, meaningfully, but not extremely large. It still has this massive tailwind behind it. Travel is rebounding, and so it's still got that behind its back, and revenue is going to grow and profits are going to grow. But this is a risk that just increased, so just keep an eye out for it. Okay, so thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. The Motley Fool is a company that provides investing insight and stock recommendations for all investors of all skill sets and risk levels. So I'm proud to partner with the Motley Fool to bring you 10 stock picks from their popular product, Stock Advisor. Stock Advisor has beaten the market by more than 3 times. Go to fool.com/Parkev to get your 10 stock picks now.